Cringe, a term popularized in the 2014 cringe compilation era. Most of us were quite young during this era, so most of us internalized this concept of cringe, that cringe equals bad, inhuman even. I say inhuman because oftentimes the responses to these cringe compilation videos was one of superiority and separation, that we were better as the viewers. Most of us learned to judge cringy stuff and remove ourselves from it, but then found ourselves miserable living with a critic in our head 24/7, just saying, don't be cringe, don't you dare be cringe, don't take that seriously, taking that seriously is cringe. Enjoying that? No, you can't enjoy that. What do you want? To be happy? It's not exactly a healthy mindset, living with a middle school bully constantly. But now let's say you accept all cringe things. Then what? The utter acceptance of everything. No judgment towards any content. Well, that's cultural stagnation, I'm gonna be honest. Just as screaming cringe at everything that you view as moderately vulnerable is stagnation of the self. And I want to talk about this concept of cringe in particular with the online art community, because that is my niche, apparently. Hi, online art community, hi! I like you guys. Please like me back. Do you like me? Yes or yes? I'm Sawball Black Sheep having a soul. No sir, but today we're going to be exploring, are you cringe? And if you are you ascended cringe or descended cringe? That is the question. The proverbial period in slay. But before I get into that, consider joining the Patreon. We have Patreon exclusive Discord streams every week where I draw what you want. You get free art, given that you give me $2 a month. Trade offer. You give me $2, I draw you Freaky Yuri. Or just joining our 17+ Discord server to meet a bunch of cool artists and get your art in the next video. But as always, oh, one more thing. Buy a shirt. Check this out. Dutch van der Linde. Sorry. Get a little too much with that self-promo here. Sorry, I'm a capitalist. It's in my blood. But I don't know, whatever. Back to the video.
Being cringe. Something I'm sure many of us artists have been called over the years by random internet users with blank profiles. It doesn't feel great, that's for sure, but is it something to take to heart? Hot take. Heavily depends on what you're being called cringe for and how aware you are of it. Calling someone cringe, in my opinion, will always make you look like a troglodyte, but that's neither here nor there. Oftentimes, what is being called cringe is people's art, OCs, and stories for the only reason that others don't enjoy it or it doesn't meet some imaginary standard they made up in their head. Making self-insert OCs or OCX canon, for example, was something pretty heavily ostracized in the past and still is in some spaces today, but not as much as it was before. Now, there is nothing wrong with enjoying OCX canon or inserting yourself into a universe. It's fun, it's a pastime, not something to take that serious, and if you find it cringe, there is this really cool function on most apps called scrolling away. Don't get me wrong, every time I see My Hero Academia OCX canonship, I cringe myself into oblivion, but just because I cringe doesn't mean I see that artist as less or their art as bad or not worth making. It just isn't my cup of tea. I just hate My Hero and find the characters flat and classic shonen archetypes, so I cringe. You might view that in a completely different light. That's okay. Just as you might find my interests pretentious, I could find yours juvenile. That doesn't take away the way we care and feel about the medias we love. It's okay to have different takes on media while also allowing other people to openly dislike that same thing. I love OCX canon. I find it interesting seeing what people like about in a character or how they craft a character within the world they love. Some people hate OCX canon, and that's okay. given you aren't shaming people or viewing them as some subhuman being. It's just a hobby, like reading romance novels. But let's take a look at both ends of the spectrum. On one side, we have the no judgment, make whatever makes you happy crowd. Then the ooh, you're cringe, KYS crowd. Now, in all honesty, I think both sides are equally destructive in their own way. It's pretty clear as to why the you're cringe crowd is destructive. It's shame-based and bullying, wholly unnecessary, elitist, and suffocates creative expression as it harbors a culture of shame around the expression of the self. But how is the have fun, no judgment crowd harmful? Well, because a lot of people that fall under this category, aware or not, are pushing anti-intellectualist ideals. This sentiment of draw and create anything and everything you want, even if it's cringe, sounds nice, but often churns out art that lacks much depth or critical thinking, and is more so a product of fulfilling desire, which isn't wrong at all, but there is a limit. Take a look at Book Talk, for example, where the sentiment is widely accepted that any form of critical thinking towards the media is often turned into let people have fun, oh my god type comments on posts where the OP was not judging anyone in particular, just critiquing the themes and writing itself within the book. Saying books nowadays are turning to trope-based marketing and trope-oriented narrative storytelling to get engagement is simplifying, degrading the medium in people's media literacy when it comes to deconstructing narrative works of this genre. Isn't a jab at you for getting your rocks off to enemies to lovers. It's a criticism for shallow, mass-produced romance books. If you enjoy those shallow, mass-produced romance books, you can both enjoy something and recognize it's badly written. It's like eating McDonald's. Getting McDonald's every few weeks is not going to cause that much harm to you, but you can be aware it isn't good for you even though you have it every now and then. I see trashy media in the same light. Yes, enjoy it, have fun, but you can have fun and critically engage with it at the same time. And telling people they are elitist assholes every time they critique a piece of media you enjoy, you are contributing to the degradation of media comprehension. Anti-intellectualism isn't cool, it's taking away people's power to understand the world around them and remain educated. It's the brick by brick culture we created by normalizing and devaluing of critically engaging with the world around us. Comments like, it's not that deep, or okay cornball, slowly builds that culture of anti-intellectualism, devaluing and turning critical thinking into something labeled as cringe. Cringe to care, cringe to think, cringe to criticize, which just makes both ends of the spectrum not all that different from each other. Now, don't get me wrong, I am firmly of the belief that life is complicated and tiring, and if engaging with media that doesn't provoke much thought helps, I get it. I love Elder Scrolls Online. It's not that it's good in terms of writing by any means, but it's nice to just turn off my brain and enjoy something. I like collecting materials and selling them. It makes me happy just watching myself get richer, while I run around picking up random stuff. It's wholly mindless, and I'll spend an hour or two on it when the ESO bug bites. I'm sure we all have our little indulgences, and that's okay. Given you aren't shaming the critical deconstruction of your indulgence, you can both enjoy something and realize it isn't a profound media, as media doesn't need to be profound. Though my favorite medias tend to have a deeper message for the viewer to extrapolate, narratives like Disco Elysium, Piranesi, most of Dostoevsky's work. Now, these are all widely enjoyed for their masterful writing. I by no means am unique in the love for these stories, but whereas I'd happily spend 3 hours listening to this.
It's the legend found in the trash. A pitiful cabbage of white and yellow papers hanging from plastic board, barely held together by a metal clip. This sad display is made complete by the faint smell of urinal cleaner. There's a piece of toilet paper, or is it cleaning tissue? No, it's toilet paper, desperately sticking to the back of the blue plastic clipboard. It's a metaphor for you.
You'd have to chain me and put a gun to my head to just play 30 minutes of Marvel Rivals. That's because much of my identity in the way of interacting with the world is through narrative work, especially as an artist, writer, and content creator. I have friends where at the end of a long day, we'll play silly flash games making pizza while I sketch some random mindless doodle of an OC or self-insert character for a story or whatnot. Both are just wind-down activities, something we do to get our mind off the day-to-day. We all have a different indulgence for that, and that's okay. I feel like sometimes online, and in the art community in particular, we often forget opinions aren't all-encompassing and are often not an actual tell for someone's whole character. I disagree with my close friends all the time because the limited self is not an actual reflection of the world around us. Take me and one of my closest friends, for example. I'm a centralist and a libertarian. Socially, I'm progressive, but economically, I have the fattest hard-on for the free market. My friend, however, is a communist and is wholly socialist, and believes in more government support than I do. Yet we still have fine political talks and agree on a lot of things despite being different. I often view our different standpoints not as some byproduct of a moral failing, but one of our sense of self and personality. I'm an extremely ambitious person who sees my worth in my work ethic and the things I create, so of course, I'm a capitalist. I want to make and sell. My friend, on the other hand, does not have a strong pull to have a self-sustained career path, rather a supported community with needs like housing, food be provided by the government. We both see the logical and moral failings within our ideologies. For me, it's undoubtable that late-stage capitalism is nothing but a blight. Billionaires shouldn't exist. 900 million is where, personally, I think there should just be a cap. Like, yeah, 900 million, wow, you won capitalism. Have a gold medal, I'm sure they got plenty. And everything else trickles down to support things like universal healthcare. However, net worth is often not liquidated. So that is a nice thought, but hard in actual practice. I fully admit I am able to overlook some moral failings to maintain a stable market, as I see the stability of the market reflective of the quality of life, even if it steps on some toes. In this, my ideology is flawed, and more so a teller of my personality than what's actually good for the world. But of course there is a moral limit I won't cross, as well as I'm not fully educated on the intricacies of the social and economical sphere, so my perspective isn't one that should hold much merit outside of a philosophical standpoint. My friend realizes communism doesn't work, and it's impossible to fully contain bad actors, but communism functions more so as a philosophy, a thought and hope that can be realized to some extent, just not in its entirety. It is a community coming together, a system that supports its people. Neither of our ideologies work in full, yet it's a part of how we interact with the world nonetheless. We both see that we have no desire to convince the other because we see each other for what we are, flawed, nuanced people. This, of course, lives on an eternally changing map of social and economical complexities. As where I'll judge my Trump-loving sister openly, but I'll never leave her, I would ditch a Trump-loving friend because I have no instinctual desire to maintain a relationship with someone that is actively siding with a genocidal dictator. Is this hypocrisy? Of course. Does it, to some degree, contribute to a culture of few consequences for radically conservative people living in mindless bliss of the severity of their decisions? Yes. I don't care, though. She's my sister. That is a toe I will step on because I am not a vassal for moral light. I'm not a good person. I'm just a person. Same as you. And you may be mad at me right now for the toes I'm willing to step on because they might be your toes. But ask yourself, really, what toes are you willing to step on? We all have them. It's just a part of being alive. And this whole endless need to never step on any toes is more so just stepping on everyone's, as constantly finding a way to make the nuances of human life into a black and white moral issue is degrading what it means to even interpret and deconstruct the world around us. So be cringe, but introspect. Why does this proverbial cringe draw you? Be aware of the world around you before enjoying the bliss of mindlessness. Or forget you ever watched this video and go on with your day. Anyway, tell me where you stand on all this in the comments below. That's all I have for today, folks. If you like my art, consider commissioning me. You can reach out to me on Discord, Instagram, and Blue Sky, all in the link tree in description. You got work tomorrow, or school, or ranting about moral complexities again. But as always, don't dream wheat wheat-based byproducts. Moi, je m'appelle Mademoiselle Noire, et qu'on va pour la voix,